I want to do this, and you're sweating in the eyeballs. I mean, I was just sitting there picking up on this energy.
And it wasn't just because I was excited about Yum Cha. Because I love Yum Cha.
That was the only reason why we did it, because we thought that's the only bloody thing we get there. God, we didn't even know you were going to turn up.
It was only probably because the deep fried pork chops had just gone by.
Missed the
Funny,
chops.
it had nothing to do with the ice. So sorry to interrupt you there, but I think and this is our family. We take humour out of everything, but I keep pushing through it. So look, to get the juicy point is, Cath went into confrontation mode. I went into defensive mode. I jumped up, which I'd done a few times already with friends. Jumped up, went, no, I'm not doing this, and went to leave. And Cath followed me, and a little chase ensued through the shopping mall, down into the car park, with lots of loud verbal confrontations, a physical confrontation, like a grabbing.
I didn't want to let him go. I was holding on to him.
She wouldn't let me get in my car. I literally went to get my car. I said, right, if I'm not going to let my car, I'm just going to leave the car park. Found an emergency exit, took off as quickly as I possibly could. And obviously Cath was probably still coordinating back with Mum and Dad about what was going on. So at the moment that I knew that I could get away from Cath, I took off. So at the back of roads, I was going into little neighbourhoods and managed to get up onto the expressway there, jumped in a cab and buggered off. And that was, and I'm sure.
Yeah. So what David left in his wake was absolute devastation. It really was. It was just something where you actually knew that this kid was just out of control. And then in those months leading up to Yum Cha, there was many sleepless nights and tears and phone calls with my parents, and the worry and the concern and he was trying. David would come to this forefront over those months between March and July. Okay, I can do this, I can fight this, but then you'd go back. It was almost just like we all had to hang in there. We just had to hang in until there was a couple of catalyst moments.
And I knew as well. I knew. I suppose where the frustration came from was that I knew that I wanted to get better, and I kept saying to you, I've agreed. I've had the intervention. I've agreed to a timeline. I felt that I was moving quickly enough, and like I said in one of my videos, it obviously wasn't quick because the family could see that the devastation was continuing.
Yes.
It was like the car crash had happened, but the ambulance hadn't arrived, and everyone was just sitting there looking at the car crash, going, "Is anyone going to get the dead bodies out of the car?" But it was just like, it was just like, you just can't let this thing continue, and I get it now.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've agreed, I've said I'm in Sydney, I'm looking for doctors, I'm looking for a rehab facility, leave me alone. But for you could see
I didn't believe him. I did not believe him.
And
I wasn't falling for it anymore. I think my mum and dad were hoping everything that David said, they lived in hope that everything he was saying was true. I did not believe one word, and David knew that. He knows me. He knows that we both call it as we see it.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the surprising thing with Dave and the strength and the soul that he has, that this drug got the better of him, because I still couldn't believe it.
I think it's important at that point that I knew, and if there's anyone out there that's suffering through this, my trust fuel tank was empty. I understand that. But I still knew, and Cath talked about my soul at the start of this video, and I knew that I wanted to be a better person. I knew that I wanted to get away from this drug, but we're still using. Obviously the big change for me was then, so I actually sent an email out to Team Snow Beast, and it was very condescending about Cath and stuff like that. It was like, here's an update. It's almost like a warning to everyone saying, I made it very rugby related. One member's just been booted off the team. Like, be warned, don't confront me. It was bullshit. Like, it was an absolute joker thing to do. But Cath was flicked off the team. She was blocked on Facebook, blocked all her numbers, and she was thrown out of my life because she was the only one that was willing to confront me. So we moved forward from there. So we go confrontation 1. But then we start to get into a real positive mode. So all of a sudden things fell into place. And I'm happy. We've mentioned a few names of facilities and people and stuff today. I'm still grasping with how disclaimers and things are going to work. So we won't mention all names and all facilities. But so found a counsellor. So I managed to get in touch with my doctor that I really trusted, who fortunately for him was over in Rio at the Olympics, but just took a little bit of time to get communication. Yeah. He suggested a counsellor. Moved on the counsellor very quickly. Counsellor suggested facility. We did the final research on facilities with some great stuff that you provided me. But again, that was I suppose important.
I tried to send you the menu first, so you were excited about the food rather than the therapy.
I remember they're doing pesto sandwiches. And
something fancy pants, walnut and chicken.
Had pesto for a while. So I'd had some great stuff from Cath. I'd reams of obviously things that I'd pissed off and thrown in the back of a backpack because I thought, whatever. Yeah. But started to go. My personal process was to go back through a lot of stuff that Cath had printed out and provided for me. Worked a bit with my sister over in Perth as well, who was very good at doing that sort of stuff. Came to a conclusion about, via my counsellor who'd suggested we narrowed it down to 1 or 2. Picked a facility, was all great, was on basic hospital level cover. It was only cost $200, gap. Awesome, 21-day facility. Into rehab. And then
the fun and games began a little bit.
Well, it was interesting, wasn't it? I suppose sort of halfway through rehab, I had to go. I'd had a really debilitating bad back pain because of the hospital beds that are in the. It's beautiful, private, awesome, modern facility, but still hospital bed. And had a bad back and needed to get my glasses because we're doing a lot of reading, and I'd smashed my glasses accidentally before I'd gone in.
But I also realised, I was reading between the lines when David would call me and say I needed to go to these appointments while he was at rehab. I actually was feeling he just needed to get out at some point. He just needed to get out. He needed to work out if he could trick the system a little bit, I think. I think there was still a little bit like that. But it was all... No.
So the trust fuel tank was empty. It's still empty, and I wasn't. There certainly wasn't. My back was absolutely killing me. So I booked into a physio appointment up at near the facility, and had we went and had a nice dinner and stuff like that, and went and got my prescription done for my glasses, and the rest is history from that perspective. But that was the first time I'd called Cath from rehab and said, hi, how are you?
I need you now.
Yeah, I need you type thing, because I wasn't allowed to leave the facility unless I was chaperoned and weren't staff available. But they said, look, if a family member comes and joins you, that's fine. I was down to a mate who was unavailable they said a close mate who's on your call list, or a family mate was unavailable, so obviously I called him first. I didn't want to have to deal with this one.
But I was off Team Snow Beast, right? So I'm out.
But it was, but you agreed. You said it was great to hear your voice. What a great way to reconnect and hear the story about what's going on, and you can hear the positive steps that have been taken, because maybe my trust fuel tank was starting to refill a little bit with you because I was in a facility at least.
You had no choice. There was something you had to rely on again, and it happened to be I live in Sydney, and that's the way it is. There was no one else available, and I'm glad I was your last choice. But no, I think, and that's also like the hard thing, is that you do, as a sister, you do take it all very, very personally. I did get quite unwell throughout this process when David was happening, but that may not happen to everybody. It's just our family dynamic. We're really connected. We always have been. If one person is hurt, the other usually is as well. So it was just something I just felt physically exhausted and mentally almost just at my wit's end. And then Dave rings from rehab, and he needs me. Well, it was... It's all I wanted. I was like, oh my God, he needs me again. He's the commander-in-chief that was giving this information at the earlier in the year. I'm back on, I can do something again, right? So you get a little bit righteous about it, and wrong. It's wrong. You still have to understand that even though the drug is not being taken on a daily basis, it has still got a lot of control of him and a lot of control of his emotions. I'll never forget, I picked him up, he's in the car. He's laughing, he's crying, it was like this little ball that I remember looking after as a little baby, and he was just this emotion. Obviously the clinic had dredged up and had started to work.
I was detoxing.
Yeah. So I could see the physical pain, I could see the mental exhaustion, I could see the frustration, but I could see his dedication. I could see that soul was starting to win over, and my life just started to... From the eye perspective, I started to not make your problems so consuming and give me an excuse not to be myself, right? So, so it was a light bulb moment, actually. And then it wasn't until... So we moved on from that. We got to your appointments. It was a bit erratic, the dinner.
It was all...
Because seeing him have food and... a coffee, which we were a little bit illegal in doing, but we did anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean, people in the rehab facility do laugh when they hear it.
But I kept thinking, is he manipulating me again? Is this something I'm not meant to be doing? But at the same time, I still had the blind faith. I still had that blind faith, even after the words and the anger and the frustration that we had over the last previous months. There was just something I just had to... To see throughout.
I mean, we're getting every mode of the whole... I'm sure that there's lots of people out there that are watching this going, oh my God, this is sort of exactly all the steps, but it was a different flavour for them. But anyway, so we move forward from there. Get to the end of rehab. We get to... Hey, Diggy.
Hey, Diggs.
My nephew. We're wearing the same shirt.
Yeah.
Choice bro.
He's
a Kiwi. No, it's half Kiwi, half Aussie. So we get to... just watch that call, bro.
Yep.
You see that, right? We get to rehab, post-rehab, that sort of thing. And things are fairly honky-dory. I decided to go over to Perth because my counsellor and psychologist in the facility asked me where was the last happy place I'd been. It's certainly been when I'd spent a bit of time in Perth working in hospitality and coaching rugby over there and stuff like that. It was great. Living with my older sister and living with a young family and being single and never been in a meaningful relationship and that sort of stuff.
And financially stable and everything.
Great. Yeah, it was a really good time.
Yeah.
So headed straight back to Perth because that was going to be a great tactic to kick off recovery mode. As it turns out, harm minimisation mode, but we know more, but you can watch videos about that. And then I decided to sort of get into recovery now, and I had this sort of concept developed within rehab with a few buddies that we really wanted to do this, and I felt that I was capable and had a great story to share, and that I this is what I wanted to do now, was coach a bit of rugby, maybe work in hospitality, no, probably not. This may be something I can make a bit of a go of, certainly not going to make any money out of, but we all agreed that maybe there needed to be a bit more rawness to the sharing. So I started sharing without anyone's real permission about my family, the story. We had the Daily Mail UK did a story from Belinda, a journalist who'd been based in Cowra. Wrote a story. It was very, very raw. It told a lot about things that were going on. And so conflict sort of 2 came up with you and I, falling out number 2, where it sort of developed where you were back in Sydney. I haven't really paid you much time to come back and see you and connect with you after rehab. I sort of literally from the front door of the facility buggered off to Perth.
Yeah.
And then we started having these phone conversations that just more and more intense about how I was approaching my recovery and what I was doing and what was this public thing that was playing out. And again, there's the only one member of the family that went into conflict sort of mode, airing of the seriousness of the situation, whatever. And we sort of went back to where we started from, didn't we?